Did you know that the group that you have will lead you either to success or failure? I'm Jennifer Evans with Empowering Wellness Counseling Solutions, and today we're talking about the collective unconscious and the collective intelligence and how they work together to make you a very successful leader or an absolute failure. You have only so much control over your experience, but when we are opening ourselves up to a group, we are held to the dynamics that get built. So I talk a lot about like interactions between two people, but I really want to zoom out as we're looking at our new book, Key Steps to Live a Happier and Healthier Life, Part 3, Interpersonal Skills, and seeing how these dynamics that we've been talking about and curating really can be catastrophically awful or amazingly serendipitous as we bring more and more people to the table to realize our vision of success. And so the collective intelligence basically says that we have this general concept that when we all come together, that we can kind of build a dynamic that can move the ship forward or hold the ship back and really cause it to come on fire. And we've got a couple of examples of these dynamics. We have Zimbardo's prison study, which is like the best example. It continues to come up for the ultimate psychological study fail. And ethics is a big one for ethics. Like we all kind of know it. You've ever taken a Psych 101 class, I bet you know about Zimbardo. It is a very well-known study of how devastating groups can be. Is when you get typecasted in these roles, you start to build a reality about what role you're supposed to play, and you overplay the role, and you start to really see some demons coming out as you're in these spaces. And so that is one part of it. And when we look back on triangulation, so we're going to, in a couple of weeks, it's this really the first chapter, interpersonal skill building, when we really look at the breakdown of what relationships are. But I've talked about triangulation in the back, so if you go to my video description, I'll have a link for a video there for previous triangulation. Comment if you want more information. I do have a lot of videos on triangulation, Cartman drama triangle. But what we find is in a distressed state or a stress state, people will revert to these patterns of victimization, persecution, and rescuing, or will revert to a childlike state or a parent-like state. These are dangerous places because now you are truly in a perceived reality, which means your past is 100% filtering and activating as your present. You are not in a present state anymore. Your past is making all decisions for you. It's a very dangerous place to be, and that is what happened in Zimbardo's prison study, is people's past started coming in. They became the persecutor. And people were starting to take on the victim role as a counterpart. And it got very, very scary and very, very real very quickly. Groupthink is another key thing to look at when it comes to devastation and leadership. When you don't control your stress and you don't create an open, warm environment, people will not speak up. And when they don't speak up, they're not giving you critical information that could lead to success. And instead of this withholding and this fear that they have of being able to be present and speaking up, really catastrophic things happen. The Bay of Pigs is one of those. There was some very valued information, but people weren't willing to speak up and share that information because they were afraid to participate. And everybody started to follow that theory. This perceived reality came in that closed them from sharing. And then we have a jaunt over. It's kind of all the same. is Jungian. I love me some Carl Jung, maybe because I'm an art therapist, you know, from the very beginning. That's where I started, is in art therapy. And Jung is a big, symbolism is a big part of it, and Jung is a big part of that. But he has this idea that there are collective archetypes, this collective intelligence. So we kind of all know the same stuff. That's why nothing is truly unique or created. It's already been out there in the world, and we're just kind of pulling from it and pulling our own little spin and interpretation. And so Jung had 6 archetypes that he kind of said were out there and that we pull from when it comes to leadership. The ruler, the creator, the hero, the sage, the caregiver, and the rebel. And these 6 archetypes really determined how you would be approaching a situation and then how other people would be interpreting it. And the point is to have a good blended marriage. That's why sometimes it's really good to have multiple leaders of a team, because you get the balance of the various archetypes. People feel nurtured by one and, you know, safe and supported and know that they're going to have a job tomorrow by the other. So it's nice to have that blending, and it's important to find that blending when you're looking at a team. Who do you want to be your leaders? Is important to have these various archetypes that's going to get you where you want. The rebel is good. That's where sales comes into play, because they're risk takers, right? So don't be like, I'm not a rebel and I don't want any rebels on my team. Everything is valued. It's how do you maximize on the value and detract from the things that hold us back, because they are there. We have to accept radical acceptance that they are there. It's important to be able to make sure that we're maximizing on their ability and not allowing the barriers to hold us back. And so how we break away from these negative emotional feedback loops is to ground in the present, have that truth. Truth feedback loop is a big part of it. That trust that comes from the truth feedback loop, that disclosure and vulnerability, humility that comes from the truth feedback loop is how you get people to be more present. The more present you are, the more people are being present in response to you. And then we want to harness a sense of collective wisdom and allowing that collective wisdom to move to collective growth, a group of growth and innovation. And so how we are harnessing that collective wisdom is by really nurturing what is good, what are the values, what are the strengths of each person. It's getting to know everybody. It's allowing them that open place to feel free to share that information. It's being curious. The more curious we are, the more we're gaining from it. Some of my best coaching and therapy sessions are when I get curious and when I encourage my client to get curious. Well, that's interesting. Well, tell me more about that. Wow, let's get curious about that. You know, let's look at that. Let's do a visualization exercise and really get into what it would be like in that space. It goes very, 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 very far because it's pulling from our unconscious, and when we're pulling from the unconscious, we're pulling from the collective. And that collective will take us everywhere if we stay in the positive. Go to the video description. I've got some great free resources. I do pride myself on being able to support everybody where they are in their stage of change. So if you're looking to level up in your leadership, if you're wanting to develop an executive style, if you're just trying to find some balance in your day-to-day life and not have work be everything and feel like you're stuck on that merry-go-round of life, if you are debilitated by anxiety or depression and just trying to get off your couch, I'm here for you. I have what it takes to help you to change your brain, because it comes down, it is a root problem. And when we can change our mindset, we can do anything. I have what it takes to help you change your core and to be able to produce the fruits that you yearn for. Go to my website, see the services that I have, straight from self-help books and workbooks that walk you through all of these steps, to being able to have boutique retreats, individualized sessions, and groups to be able to discuss and share with. There is something for you. Thank you so much, and I look forward to working with you.